Hey guys, welcome back to Damian. I'm back with a Mr. Nightmare video for you guys today. 3 scary true urban exploration horror stories. This came out 13 days ago at the time I'm recording this. And at first I was like, urban exploration? I was like, yeah, it's gonna be boring. And then I look it up. Let me get my recorder going for you guys 1 second here. Okay, starting. So yeah, I was kind of like, what do you mean by urban exploration? Here it is. Urban exploration is the exploration of man-made structures, usually abandoned ruins or hidden components of the man-made environment. So I've heard of urban exploration before, but I was like, why not just say exploring abandoned places or something? That just sounds better. Like I saw this title and I was like, this is gonna be boring. But then I was like, you know what? It's the most recent video, and all the other ones I already kind of seen, or because like there's specific horror genres I want to see, like Home Alone, Snapchat stories, Facebook, like any like social media, working stories, like fast food, pizza, things like that, right? But if it's like boring, like war stories, I was like, like war is kind of a horror story in itself, you know what I mean? So it's like, what kind of a horror story would be for war? Like war is already a horror story. War is just crazy, but I know that was a war horror video. I'll probably get to that one eventually, but I'm gonna choose this one. This is the most recent video that Mr. Nightmare has released. I was gonna say Darman. I gotta get Darman off the brain, bro. I'm behind on like 11 videos at the moment, so that's great. Maybe even at 12. Because anytime I upload one video, Darman keeps on fucking uploading. So I'm basically uploading just to keep up with 12 videos behind. That's basically how I'm doing. So yeah, this is only 16 minutes, 3 scary true urban exploration horror stories. So again, it's like exploring abandoned places and man-made structures. So let's see how this plays out.
If you want to listen to these stories plus some exclusive ones on your favorite apps, all of them are available to listen to on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. Just click the link in the description or at the end of the video.
It's kind of cool. AP. I noticed that he does like different fonts and he does it like differently. Like sometimes he'll leave story 1 down here, or sometimes it'll just say here. It's different fonts, different colors. Like he always changes up a little bit, which is kind of nice.
It's an abandoned motel called the Royal Hawaiian Motel. It's been abandoned for, I'm pretty sure, well over a decade. I do a lot of solo urban exploration, sometimes at night. The Royal Hawaiian Motel is located in Baker, California, and during the day it gets scorching hot, too hot to be walking around with my backpack. So I chose to go to the motel during the night.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of Canada and US right now is going through like a massive heat wave right now. The day I'm recording this is June 18th. Well, it's midnight, so June 18th now, but basically June 17th is when this heat wave started. And it's going to last several days. This is not going to come out until the end of this week, but yeah, at this point I'm recording this right now, it's a massive heat wave right now, so it's really hot right now.
It was very easy to get to. I parked on the side of the road and walked over. There really was no fence or anything to hop over, and there was no security. It was one of the easier structures to get to that I've explored for sure. In the back was a really deep pool with a ton of graffiti. I shined my flashlight up at the actual motel, and I noticed half of the upstairs room's doors were slid open slightly or just completely shattered. Kinda creepy looking, but
I was gonna say, if it's abandoned, like what if homeless people can just sleep there, you know what I mean? Because like they're homeless, they have to go somewhere. And again, you said it's also really hot in the story, which it is right now too, so it's like, yeah, you know, people obviously need shelter. It doesn't matter if you're homeless or not, you still gotta freaking, you know, cool down and stuff. So I feel like homeless people are gonna be in there. It's not gonna be AC'd or anything, but at least they'll be inside somewhere.
But also expected since the place had been abandoned for so long. Of course other people have explored there. A part of the motel also looked like it had been engulfed in flames and partially burnt down.
Damn.
I looked around the outside for a little while. It was late at night, so there were no sounds of nearby passing traffic. Besides the sounds of my shoes stepping over various pieces of debris, at one point my blood ran cold when I heard a voice from somewhere in the vicinity. It sounded like a female's voice. My first instinct in these scenarios is to assume it's some kind of security worker or somebody who may cause trouble for me, so I typically tend to walk out of sight and hide. That's what I did. I ran to one of the other rooms on the ground level and turned off my flashlight. I waited just a minute, and after hearing nothing, I turned it back on. I looked around this little room I was in, and the walls were littered with graffiti. There was only one piece of furniture in here. It was a little dresser with like 4 drawers on it, and then some dusty, dirty old mattress on the floor. I wondered if homeless people would come and sleep here.
Obviously.
But honestly, it's just so far away from any real civilization that I doubted it.
Mm.
I left the room and continued around the motel. I would peek inside every little opening on the ground floor below the overhead walkway for the upper level rooms. Each room was pretty similar to the last, with different miscellaneous graffiti and writings on the walls and old dilapidated furniture. Then I heard a crash type sound from above, like something falling over. I felt my heart skip a beat. I went back outside and pointed my flashlight up at the walkway above, at the broken glass doors. I felt a rush as I decided to go up there and check out the rooms. What I felt like deep down was that there was an animal in one of the rooms, but there's always that chance that you run into other explorers or perhaps a homeless person in places like this. I made my way upstairs and peeked into each room that I passed. They were all similarly furnished, with junk, debris, old mattresses, and odd pieces of old furniture.
Mm-hmm.
As I walked further down the walkway, a banging sound became audible. It got louder as I continued to walk. It was a consistent, slow banging, like thump, 2 seconds, thump, 2 seconds, thump. Someone was here. I approached the door to the room I was positive that it was coming from. As I got closer, it stopped. Uh-oh, maybe they heard my footsteps. I announced to whoever was in there that I'm just an explorer and I mean no harm. I peeked into the room with the flashlight now off. It was almost pitch black in there, but I'm 50% certain I saw the shape of a person a little further into the room by the back wall. The room smelled like straight feces. I pulled my head out from the room to look down at my flashlight and turn it on, but in a careful position to not point the light right into the room right away. I aimed it down at first at the floor, and then peered into the room again, and slowly pointed the light into the room. And I saw 2 pale, bare feet approaching me fast. In a muscle jerk reaction, I pointed the light up more to fully reveal this woman with a bloodied forehead and yellow gunk on her mouth, which was hanging open. It was a sight from a nightmare. I was out of there so quick. I heard the woman screaming as I was running away, and her screams didn't get much further away, which told me she was chasing after me. I ran down the stairs and back outside. I ran the entire way back to my car. I wasn't followed this far. I called one of my good friends, George, who's also into urban exploration. I had invited him to come with me originally to this place, but he was unable to.
Lucky for him.
What just happened. We came to a weird and disturbing agreement that the thumping I was hearing was that woman banging her head on the wall, hence why her forehead was so bloody. When I asked if I should call the police, kind of just thinking out loud, he said definitely not, as I'd be admitting to trespassing. I actually drove around the immediate area by the Taco Bell and the few stores in the area, looking for a payphone so I could anonymously call the police about this deranged, dangerous woman. But obviously payphones are really a thing of the past, so it was just a pointless effort.
Yeah.
What I ended up doing was calling the non-emergency number and reporting the deranged woman, but also claiming I was not the one to find her. Rather, I heard someone else had run into her. I was as vague as possible, and I hung up. Because I didn't want to stick around there, I don't know if the police eventually went to investigate, but whatever was wrong with that woman, she should have been in a psych ward or something. In all of my years of exploring, I'd never encountered anything like that.
That's the scary thing, though. It's like when you're exploring these abandoned places and like you think they're you think they're abandoned, or I mean they are, and then people obviously go in, fuck around, they use it as a bed or against someone homeless or something. I feel like it typically is always someone that like maybe like sick mentally or just maybe like looking for a place to live, and then it gets startled when they hear somebody. So it's like both of them may be scared. You know what I mean? Like maybe they both mean no harm, but obviously this girl, that's honestly a scary sight to see, like a bloody woman coming towards you fast. It's like, oh fuck, like, yeah, you better run. I don't even care if I'm a guy. If a girl's coming at me and she's all bloody, I'm not gonna stick around. I'm gonna bang in peace. But then again, I never be exploring an urban. I never be doing urban exploration. So I don't need to worry about getting myself into that scenario. But this guy, I guess he does. Next we have Larry Seaman. I'm just gonna say Seaman. Larry Seaman. So, sounds better.
A few years ago, I lived in a small town. My family decided to move us 4 hours away to get away from all the drama.
Okay.
While my parents were out of town picking out houses, I brought my friend over and called up my cousins to take a little road trip. The
Yeah,
place I
road trips
wanted
are
to
fun.
go was pretty much off limits, but we were daredevils and wanted to experience something scary. We picked a place that was 2 to 3 hours away called Bryce Hospital.
Damn.
This place was supposedly haunted due to the history of it.
Great,
It was a
great choice.
psychiatric facility where they would keep mentally ill people.
Even
There
better.
were rumors about how some of the patients were mistreated and tortured. As the population declined, they eventually
That's
shut
horrible.
down. Over the years, the building began rotting and succumbing to nature. We decided to leave around 11 p.m. so we could make it there by 2 a.m. The car ride was pretty fun, and we were all very pumped to see what we would find. We arrived around like 2:43 a.m. and stopped at the beginning of the dirt road.
2:43 a.m. Why the hell would you go 2-3 hours away, bro? Anyways, like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Fuck. Just go somewhere in your own city, bro. Like, why 2-3 hours away? Like, then you had to go 2-3 hours back, and like, it may not even come back alive, bro.
Road that led to it. We sat there for a few minutes, contemplating if we should really do this or not,
No.
because we already had a bad feeling.
Yeah,
After 10 minutes of staring at a dark road, we decided to go on.
that's so creepy.
As we went down the road, it felt like it would never end. The grass was fully grown and there were branches everywhere.
Great.
It was pitch black and we could barely even see the road.
So, sorry to keep pausing. I know I get mad when others pause so much too, but I was actually at one of the parks in my city, and it's just by the lake shore, right? It's just by this huge lake that we have, and it's basically just by the lake, right? Like lakefront, I guess you could say. So basically just in front of the lake, and there's a trail basically. So the lake is all here, and then there's like a trail going basically all the way around. So I biked the one night until like midnight, and I did like 15 kilometers that night. I think like just biked 15 kilometers, like 1.5, not 50, 1.5. Then the other day I did 21.5 kilometers, which was actually pretty good too. Exhausting, but good. Anyways, so I was basically, again, it was like pitch black. Some of the lights were not working. Like there were obviously are lights there, but at the lakefront, and yeah, like there's lights there, but some of them were burnt out. And then it kind of goes to this like bridge area. There's like, you know, a highway above. There's obviously the water is still kind of going. It's like the water kind of like, so the lake is all here, but then it kind of also goes like around this way too into this area. So I was trying to go into that area too. Also part of the trail, which the water obviously goes around there too. So the water is obviously like split both ways, right? So I was trying to go beneath that bridge, and then there was no lights working there at all. And then just knowing that it was like kind of like a little bridge, I was like, I'm not going there. I don't know who's over there. I was like, this sounds like a horror story waiting to happen if I go over there. Plus it said no vehicle access. I obviously wasn't a car or anything. I was just a bike, but I was allowed in. But then I was like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. The very next day or 2 days later, I went in there in the afternoon, and then it was so nice, like people there, sunny, and it was a great sight to say the least. But at nighttime, no.
We finally made it to the building, and once we did, we all just stared in amazement. It was huge. The roof was rotted off, and vines were growing all over the walls.
Ew.
In the middle of the parking lot, or what was once the parking lot, had a giant old water fountain that also had vines growing from the sides. It was so dark we could only see what the headlights illuminated. We turned the car off and got out. We began walking into the building, and the first thing I noticed was pentagrams sprayed all over the walls. We kept walking farther in, and made our way up the stairs, which was very hard considering they were practically non-existent. We climbed a ladder and got onto what was left of the roof. We looked around, and noticed a light in the front of the building. It looked like a phone light. We called out, but nobody answered, and the light vanished as quickly as it appeared.
So you guys made it to the roof, you guys see a light, and then you're calling down, hey, what's going on down there? And then the light turns off? Oh, hell no.
My cousin told us to follow him into another room so he could make sure we were safe, but I had a terrible feeling. I wandered off into another room that was right beside the room they were in. I looked around and saw old mattresses and more graffiti. I heard my cousins talking when all of a sudden I heard a faint sound. It was like someone threw a rock at the window of the room I was in. I didn't think anything of it and kept looking around. I met back up with my cousins and friend. We decided to go to the basement to check it out.
Oh, fuck the
Once we
basement.
got down there, we had to take a break because it was difficult getting to the bottom due to the stairs being smashed. We sat there catching our breath until we heard a voice from the back of the room. We all paused, looking at each other. I was too afraid to move, fearing whatever was in there would come after me. My cousin walked back there slowly and shined his light around. As the light reached the far end of the room, he saw someone squatted, looking towards the wall. My cousin began backing up slowly, with the light still on the guy. Once he got back to where we were, he lifted us out and began pulling himself out. Once we were out, he yelled to the man, asking if he was okay. The man turned around and stared blankly at us. There was a moment of silence before the man let out wild screams. He began running towards us. We all started screaming and running away. We had no idea where to run, but ended up climbing out of the window. We ended up in the woods behind the building. I remember running and screaming because I heard the man right behind me. My cousins were far ahead of me, and I saw their flashlights slowly fading. I ran into so many trees that my entire body started to ache. I finally caught up to them in a clearing. We found a trail and started trying to find our way back to the car, but we ended up going the wrong direction for an hour.
Oh my
Decided
god.
to turn back and try the other direction.
Maps or
It was a grueling
something?
way back, but we finally saw the building again, and sighed with relief knowing we weren't far from the car. As we approached the car, we heard rustling in one of the bushes by the building. And like before, a rock flew out and hit my friend. We saw the man emerge from the bush, and we had to make a run for the car.
Fuck, bro. Damn. Yeah, this guy means business. Like, he's not fucking around. He's like, get the fuck out of my building, bro.
As we were running, the man was a decent length behind us to where we could open the doors and lock them once we got in. We started up the car, and when we did, the headlights turned on, only to show the man running towards us.
Oh my god.
He started banging on the windows with a glass bottle. We put it in drive and took off out of there. The whole entire time we were heading home, we sat in silence. I think we all felt the same sense of shock. My body was shaking. After that night, we never had any interest in urban exploring ever again.
There you go. That's the way to do it, boys. That's the way to do it. Well, and gross. My camera's almost dead. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, excellent. But yeah, I don't know why you guys wanted to do that anyways. Oh, anonymous story. Anonymous. Ooh, this is gonna be a good one.
This happened in the countryside of Georgia. I was 15 at the time with my brother Seb, who was 18. Seb was big on exploring creepy places, and he somehow heard of this huge abandoned house not far from us from someone he knew.
Great.
I guess he didn't want to explore it alone, so one day he brought me along with him to go check it out. Seb parked the car in a rather hidden location, covered by a bunch of trees. The house property wasn't visible from here. We'd have to walk down this concrete road that clearly hadn't been touched in forever. There were giant cracks with grass and weeds growing through it, just about everywhere. All the grass around the road was overgrown, almost overtaken with weeds as well. Suddenly we noticed a woman down the road walking behind us in our direction. I asked Seb what we should do, and he said to just play it cool. If we started to run, it would look suspicious. The woman was walking with both her hands folded behind her back, as if she were going for a relaxing stroll. We kept walking at our regular pace.
Or she hides something behind her back.
Maybe picking it up a bit, just slightly. I turned around once more, and she was much closer now, and I could see a smile on her face. She was looking back at me. Then she said, "Lovely day today, isn't it?" My brother and I simultaneously responded, "Yeah." She kept walking behind us, getting closer and closer. Then, as she was almost right on top of us, with her hands still folded behind her back, she said, "I have to go to bed now." Seb and I looked at one another with confused looks.
Okay, go to bed then, sis. That's fine with me. Bye.
We both picked up the pace now without saying a word to each other. We just saw in each other's faces that it was time to speed up and get away from this woman. My brother turned around one last time and said, "Have a great day, ma'am." We stayed in the speed walk pace for a while, and the next time we turned around, that woman was gone, completely off the road. That meant she must have taken off into the woods, which was incredibly creepy. It was absolutely a chilling start to this little field trip.
Maybe that's already a red flag.
It was noticeably a chilling start to this little field trip. We made it to the house. It was noticeably deteriorated. There were vines of ivy growing up certain parts of the walls. Some of the glass windows were shattered, meaning it had been explored before. And that's exactly how we entered the house, through one of the broken windows. We climbed in, making sure not to cut ourselves on any broken glass. Right from the start, surprisingly, there was a lot of stuff left behind, like all the furniture, albeit it looked a little worn out, all the wall decor, the little decorations on the coffee table. Even when we went into the kitchen and checked the fridge, there were food items left behind. Very rotten food items. Opening that fridge was like getting smacked in the face with the smell of death. After checking the whole first floor, we went down to the basement. The basement, like the first floor, was still completely furnished, although down here was a lot messier. There were a ton of things like loose sheets of paper and garbage spread out on the floor. The carpet was a faded blue color. There was a little bit of light that came into the room through the windows at the top of the walls. And then we heard a noise from upstairs. A distinct thump. We both just froze like statues.
Anytime that happens, I'm fucking dipping. But again, I wouldn't even be in this scenario because I'm not doing that shit.
Waiting for any kind of noise again. Within a few seconds, we chalked it up to just being a noise of an old, deteriorating house.
Yep, that's what it is.
There wasn't much else to see in the basement, so we went back up to the first floor, and the only place left to check was the upstairs. At the top of the stairs, from what I remember, was the bathroom directly in front of the stairs, and then to the left was a small hallway that led to an open door, and then the hallway cut left. I don't remember what was to the right, but I'll tell you why in a second. Seb and I went left and into the first doorway. It was a bedroom. A decently sized bedroom, but it didn't seem like the master bedroom. There was a double bed in there, and an antique-looking dresser. There were some old articles of clothing left behind in the dresser, nothing I wanted to touch. Seb left the room first, and then he said my name, in a very concerned, scared-sounding tone. I looked up at him, and he was looking down the hall. I stepped into the hall, and saw what he was looking at.
Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ, that's terrifying, oh my god. I was deadass wondering, like, when is Mr. Nemmer gonna do a jump scare, and I was not expecting that.
I stepped into the hall, and saw what he was looking at. There was that woman from earlier, standing in front of the bed in another bedroom at the end of the short hallway.
Fuck, that's terrifying.
She was still smiling like before. She opened her mouth and said, "Do you want to see what's behind my back?" My brother screamed, "Fuck you," and he pushed.
Fuck you.
Said, "Do you want to see what's behind my back?" My brother screamed, "Fuck you," and he pushed me to start running. We both made a beeline for the front door and sprinted to the outside. I couldn't help but look back at the house, at the upstairs windows, expecting her to be at one of them, but she wasn't. I also just had to make sure she wasn't chasing after us. We kept running until we were out of sight from the house, and then we kept running some more, even though my cardio sucked and I was out of breath. When we finally made it back to the car,
gotta do what you gotta do.
I gagged, trying to throw up from exhaustion. We got in the car, and Seb drove us home. The whole ride, we couldn't stop theorizing what it was that just happened. We said it might have been some loony woman off her meds or escaped from a mental facility or something. Maybe she was living in that abandoned house. But even explaining all of that away, the big question is, what did she have behind her back? And was she holding it that whole time she was walking behind us?
Most likely.
So many questions that will never be answered.
It was either a knife or a gun, I'm telling you guys that right now. It was either a knife or a gun, most likely. Bro, that's fucked. Well, this is already gonna be scary. Girl home alone, and here's knocks.
A 15-year-old girl named Sabrina was home alone one night.
Oh, this is Mr. Nemmer too. Okay, so we got some bonus right here.
When there was a knock at her front door, her parents weren't supposed to be back until the following Monday, and she wasn't expecting any guests. She went to the front door to ask who was there, and an unfamiliar male voice said back, "Sabrina, there's been an accident. Your father's in the hospital." At first, Sabrina was about to open the door, but stopped herself and asked first, "Who is this?" The voice on the other side said, "It's a friend of your father." Sabrina asked what her father's name was, and the man responded correctly. Still showing caution, Sabrina went to call her father as the man at the door repeatedly knocked. When Sabrina's father picked up, sounding completely fine, that's when she knew. Sabrina's father was perfectly fine. There was no accident. The knocks had stopped, and Sabrina's father called the police, but the unknown man was gone. Whoever it was someone who had some kind of intel on the family, from their names down to the fact that Sabrina was alone. The family never found out who the man was. A 15...
Fuck, bro. That's why I post vacation pics after you get back. That's facts. Into the shore instead of just using it as a trailer for a longer video. If you knew the father's name, that'd be enough to convince a lot of kids to open the door. Exactly, that's honestly true. Honestly, yeah, like, honestly, good job for her, because, like, she was, like, doing critical thinking. She was like, yeah, this still seems kind of sus. Like, what do you mean? Like, who is this? You know, but comments for this urban exploration video. But that was honestly good. I was like, oh, what is this? I didn't know it was a Because I was gonna say this is not Mr. Namer. That's Wealth by Slayman. I don't know what the fuck this is, but this I didn't think this was Mr. Namer, but cool. 2 months till 10 years of Mr. Namer. Wow, that's crazy. 10 years. Happy early anniversary to the best out there. Oh, he responded too. Sheesh, time flies. I love Mr. Namer. The best part about urban exploration alone at night with nothing to protect yourself is that you don't have to do it. Exactly. Just don't fucking do it. That's all you gotta do. Don't do it. Just don't. Ideas. There's so many stories you haven't touched on in years. Jail, Amazon, mall, car meet stories for us car enthusiasts. Farm stories, TikTok stories, firefighter stories, mountain stories, Discord stories, hitchhiking stories, part 2, road trip horror stories, part 2, technician auto shop, daycare, and spa stories. Honestly, like daycare, all those would be really good, but I feel like daycare is like really terrifying because like they're all like little kids, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, that's scary shit. Because again, all I can think of is like someone trying to kidnap you. Like anytime it's elementary school, daycare, all I can think of is some creep trying to like abduct a kid. That's all I think of, and I'm like, fuck, that's just hard to even like think about or imagine. It's like, fuck, bro. I made this story that much scarier, exactly. Lay down the hall, genuinely startled me. The only time I've ever startled and spooked is the sleep paralysis one with the story of some demonic woman at the foot of the bed, at the foot of the dude's bed. Scared the crap out of me watching it late at night. Yeah, I'm watching it at night right now, bro. 12:31 a.m. right now. Thankfully, my mom's over there, my brother's over there, my dad's downstairs, so I got some protection, but it's like, yeah, bro. These are always my favorite, good reminder that you never know what you're going into. You might never come out of it, you might be dead. So keep that in mind too. I'll do this comment and this comment. That one's too long, never mind. Started watching Mr. Nightmare in 2014, now I'm graduating high school tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Nightmare, for all the amazing stories over the nightmares. Over the years, sorry. That's crazy. When in 2014, I was like 14 years old, bro. Let me actually check right now before you guys leave. I'm going to see when my first Mr. Nightmare horror story was uploaded. And I'm going to find that out for you guys right now because I'm really curious when it was first uploaded. I'm pretty sure it was like 7 years ago. Most viewed. So 5 years ago, 5 years ago. So it was definitely at least 5 years ago, but I feel like it was like 6, 7 years ago. Let's find out. Let's go all the way to the bottom here and see when my last... Yeah, I obviously did a lot of Mr. Nightmare, so this might take a little bit. Hold on. Okay, so 5 years ago, I think my first ever Mr. Nightmare story was 3 Disturbing True Mall Horror Stories, Mr. Nightmare, July 21st, 2018. So yeah, 5 years. So yeah, basically almost six years ago now. So yeah, I've been watching Mr. Nightmare for a while too. But you guys should keep in mind I have been watching Mr. Nightmare prior to my reactions on YouTube. So I have been watching Mr. Nightmare for several years, probably at least almost a decade, if not a decade, almost a decade. Maybe 8 years or something, but it's been really good watching stories. And honestly, these can kind of give you like an insight of like what to do and what not to do. Be careful what you do, and you know, be careful what you might get yourself into, and be careful if you decide to explore things, like be careful whatever you're doing, because you never know what you're going to get yourself into. So definitely be careful with what you guys do, with what you guys choose to do, with your choices and everything. Just be careful, please, and yeah, live life. Don't live in fear, but don't do stuff that's crazy. Don't do stuff that's gonna freaking get you murdered. Just chill. And yeah, with all that being said, thanks for tuning in to me next. I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces. Peace.